Hello, my dear students. Today we will start with Unit 8, Changes to Earth's Surface, Lesson number 1, How do weathering and erosion shape Earth's surface? Now, this lesson will be made of two parts. This is the first part, which is talking about weathering. The second part will be talking about erosion and deposition. Okay, now first steps, you know how to log into your Think Central. Okay, click Unit 8, Changes to Earth Surface, Lesson 1. Okay, when you click on this button, you will get the digital lesson, and the digital lesson starts. Okay, you just click on it. I have it already here. Now, this is the first page. But this is page number 365. How do weathering and erosion shape Earth's surface? You have here a button. If you click on it, you will listen to the content of the page. Let's try some.
Lesson 1. Essential question. How do weathering and erosion shape Earth's surface? Engage your brain. Find the answer to the following question in this lesson and record it here. How do you think this arch formed? Active reading. Lesson vocabulary. List the terms. As you learn about each one, make notes in the interactive glossary.
Okay, this page was a homework. Okay, now let's see the objectives of the lesson. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 objectives. Objective number 1, you have to explain what is weathering and how it can change rock. Objective 2, explain how erosion and deposition change Earth's surface. Number 3, describe how landforms can change over time. And number 4, contrast physical weathering and erosion. Okay, these are the main objectives of the lesson. Now, before we start the lesson, I'd like you to start with this activity. If you like doing activities, it's so easy and simple. It is called grooving with glaciers. Grooving, and the word grooves, it means it makes a trace. Okay, so glaciers, do you know what does glaciers mean? Yes, big masses of snow. Now let's start with this activity. Glaciers have sand, rocks frozen inside of them. Let's see what this sand and rock does when glacier flows over land. The materials needed: we need 2 paper cups, teaspoon or tablespoon, aluminum foil, we need water, and we need sand. You can do it if you like. If you don't like, it's fine. Now follow the procedure. First, we have, as you can see here, 2 cups of water. You have to half fill the 2 paper cups with water, and you have to pour a tablespoon of sand into 1 cup. Let's say you will put this sand in this cup, cup number 1, while cup number 2, it has only water. Cup number 1 has water plus sand. Okay, step 2, take the ice out of the cups. You place it overnight in the freezer, then you take it out the other day. Rub each piece across some aluminum foil. As you can see here, we have aluminum foil. Okay, you have to get the ice and rub it against The aluminum foil in this case, what does it represent? It represents the Earth's surface. When you rub it against the aluminum foil, the two samples, okay, you have to observe what will happen to the foil when you rub it with each piece of ice. Now, what do you think will happen? Okay, let the ice with the sand in it melt on the foil. Observe what happens. Now, we will analyze the results. Which part of this activity modeled erosion by glaciers and which part modeled deposition by glaciers? What do you think? Okay, let's see if what you're thinking is correct. Now the ice with sand, it will leave scratch marks on the foil. Ice and sand. The ice without sand will not leave scratch marks. Now the students will compare, okay, the foil to the picture of glacial grooves in the book. We'll talk about glacial grooves and I'll remind you about this activity. Grooves, it is a trace of the glaciers, okay, because what does it carry? Yes, because it carries sand and pieces of rocks. Now after the ice melts on the foil, a pile of sand will be left behind. When the ice melts, sand will be left behind. So this models how landforms such as moraines form. Okay? Let's start with the lesson. Okay, first, do you see this tree? Where does it grow? On rocks. Okay? Do you think the roots of the tree, they break the rocks? Yes, as you can see here. As the tree grows, it breaks the rocks. Its roots breaks the rocks. Okay. Or it breaks the rocks. Now let's see here. If we have cracks in rocks, do you remember when we talked about that previously? Yes, we have cracks in the rocks when water gets inside because of rain. When it gets inside these cracks and the temperature gets very low, what happens to water? It freezes. And when it freezes, what happens to its volume? It expands. When it expands, it pushes the edges, okay? So the rock will break, okay? Now, do you see this statue? Okay, this is a weathered one and this is the real one. This one is real after many years, not only 1 or 2 or 3 or 10, maybe hundreds, thousands, could be millions of years. That's what will happen. Let's see what is weathering, what's erosion, what's deposition, what do they mean, how do they change the Earth's surface. Okay, let's start with this slide on Think Central.
Their spring break exploring the parks of the Southwest. They are seeing the Grand Canyon, Zion Canyon, and Bryce Canyon. Jose is amazed at the beautiful rock formations. Archways, strange spires called hoodoos, and other interesting shapes are carved out of the rock. Click the highlighted areas to discover a little more about how rock forms like this.
Okay.
When finished, click the Next button, where you'll learn more about how these and other natural formations are made over thousands of years.
Thousands of years. Let's start with this one.
Jose examined the rock in Zion Canyon. He noticed a lot of lines on the rock that looked like stripes. Jose wondered what caused these. The guide told him that the rock was formed in layers over a long period of time. Some of the layers were made by wind depositing sand.
So it could be made, these stripes could be made by wind. Depositing sands. Depositing means they leave, they settle down the sand. Let's see this one.
Jose learned that flowing water carries rock downstream. Streams that move through Zion Canyon can move tons of rock each year.
So they're talking about streams. Streams are small rivers, okay? They move through Zion Canyon and move tons of rocks every year. When this water stream moves, it carries rocks with it. This one is talking about wind. Let's see the last one.
As they walked on, Jose saw other formations in Zion Canyon that were sculpted by water. Jose learned that the thin slot canyons and other formations were formed when water cut through the rock. In fact, almost the entire canyon was formed from water flowing through it.
The entire canyon, okay, is formed from water flowing in it, as you can see here. Maybe because of rain, so water enters the cracks of this part and cause weathering. Let's see the vocabulary words. Next slide.
Welcome to the lesson, How do Weathering and Erosion Shape Earth's Surface? In this lesson, you'll discover how Earth's surface is constantly changing. You'll also explore how weathering, erosion, and deposition by the movement of wind, ice, and water causes these changes. The vocabulary words for this lesson are weathering, erosion, deposition, and sediment. Click each word to learn more about it.
So what changes the Earth's surface? Weathering and erosion. How are they formed? By water, wind, plants, could be human. Let's see the vocabulary words first. Weathering.
Weathering. The breaking down of rocks on Earth's surface into smaller pieces.
Keep in mind, the password for the weathering word is breaking down. So weathering means to break down. Breaking down what? Rocks of Earth's surface, and it will be broken into smaller pieces. Okay? Next. Erosion.
Erosion. The process of moving sediment from one place to another.
So erosion has a password. The password is moving or carrying. Sediment means pieces. We will see the meaning of sediment. Pieces of rocks, the broken parts. When weathering breaks, okay, it leaves broken parts. Now the broken parts will be moved to another place. This process, moving to another place, is called erosion. Okay? Next. Deposition.
Deposition. The dropping or settling of eroded materials.
Okay. Now, after breaking down rocks, it will be eroded, carried away. Then it will be placed in another place. Okay? It will settle down, or it will be dropped in another place. This is called deposition. So we have here weathering, which means breaking down. Erosion, which means to carry away, and deposition, which means to settle down or to drop. So 3 processes, 1, 2, 3. Let's see the last vocabulary word. Sediment.
Sediment. Sand, bits of rock, fossils, and other matter carried and deposited by water, wind, or ice.
Because it will be so easy to be carried by wind, ice, water, when it is bits of rock, pieces like sand, fossil, bits of rock. Okay. Next.
Have you ever looked in the sky and seen cloud shapes that look like certain objects? Look at the before picture of this mountain. Do you see the shape of an old man's head? The old man of the mountain has been a symbol of New Hampshire for centuries until it broke apart in 2003. Through the years, wind and water eventually weakened and broke the rock, making it tumble down.
So do you see the shape of the old man? Yes, this is before there was a shape of that old man. After many years, it disappeared. It was weathered, breaking down. Weathering means break down. By what? What do you think?
Weathering is the breaking down of rocks
Into smaller pieces, yes, by wind and water. Let's see.
smaller pieces. One type of weathering is physical weathering. Physical weathering can be caused by one rock hitting another, as when rocks move in a riverbed or tumble down a slope in an avalanche. Another type of physical weathering happens when water gets into cracks and then freezes. The water expands as it freezes and makes the crack a little bit wider. Click play to learn more.
So, we have 2 types of weathering. We have 2 types. The first one is called physical weathering. The other one is called chemical weathering. Okay? Now, physical weathering is caused by many things. For example, when 2 rocks hit each other, they will be broken into smaller parts. Or could be by moving water. It could break the rocks. Or it could be by when water gets into cracks of the rocks, it causes it to damage. Or when the roots of the plant grows deeper and deeper, it breaks the rocks. So this is called physical weathering. So by plants freezing, water hitting against each other by wind, for example, and water, and by moving water. Okay, let's see this video which is talking about physical weathering.
If you had visited this rock one day and then again the next day, you probably wouldn't have seen any change. Weathering takes a long time to occur. Over time, weathering helps to break rock down and can help to form soil.
Now this is by wind. Now by water. What happens to water when it freezes? Yes, expands. Okay, so either by wind, physical weathering happens by wind, by freezing, which is ice, or water. Okay, next. Now chemical weathering.
You have learned about physical weathering. Another type of weathering is chemical weathering. This type of weathering happens when changes take place that form different substances. Click each image to learn more about chemical weathering.
So this one contains different substances. Let's see what are these substances. We have 3 items here. We will start with this one.
The details on this ancient rock statue have worn away over many years. Recently, chemicals from air pollution have made this happen faster. The chemicals combine with rain and the result weakens the rock. As a result, the rock weathers faster.
Now, okay, as a result of air pollution, now the rain will contain chemicals. This rain with chemicals will help the rocks to be weathered very quickly and faster. So it could be by air pollution rain, and sometimes it is called the acidic rain because of the pollution. Let's see next.
Have you ever been in a cave and noticed formations that look like icicles hanging from the cave ceiling?
This is the icicles.
These formations are formed by chemical weathering. When water seeps into the cave from above, it carries with it chemicals. When droplets form, some of these chemicals can come out of the water and add to the long rock icicle, leaving behind these formations.
Now, when water seeps through the caved rocks, there is water. Now it carries some substances. When the droplets of water comes from these parts, it starts making these icicles. Okay, because the water carries melted substances. Let's see this one.
Did you know that rocks can rust?
Really?
You probably know that iron left outside in the rain will rust. Some rocks have substances that contain iron. Some rocks that have these substances in them will rust when rained on. This is a type of chemical weathering because the rock actually changes chemically when exposed to water.
So this is why the rock is rusted, because it contains iron and the iron gets rusted. So when it contains iron, okay, when it contains iron, it gets rusted. Great, good to know. Next.
You have learned about 2 different types of weathering, physical and chemical. Choose the image that is most likely a result of chemical weathering. Click your response.
Okay, let's choose an image that most likely result of chemical weathering. Let's see. We have ice freezing, we have tree roots, we have cracked rock, and we have rust. Which one represents chemical weathering? Yes, for sure.
You got it. Rust on this rock is caused by chemical weathering.
That's right.
Excellent job. The rust on the rock is a result of chemical weathering and results in the rock being chemically altered. Ice freezing and tree roots growing in rock are types of physical weathering.
Okay, now we will stop here. We will continue talking
Earth's
about
surface can also
erosion and deposition in the other part. So the other part we will start this page. But I would like to show you some pages that talks about weathering. Okay. So as we mentioned before, these types are physical weathering. This one, yes, this one is weathered, the statue. This is before weathering. Now here, you have to study this page. Rocks on the move. Do they move? Yes. Now, how do they move? Okay, let's see how do they move. You have here page 368, 369. What happens? Now, number 1 starts from here. Now, what happens? Read them carefully because we start by weathering first. First, we have weathering. Then 2, the weathered part or sediments will be carried away. So number 2 will be it will be, yes, erosion and deposition. 3, in fact, will be deposition. The sediments will be deposited here. And number 4, when rivers and oceans they slow down, when they slow down, the remaining of sediments will settle, okay, and forms a landform that is called delta, okay, in number 4. Study this page, please. We'll stop here. See you next part. Hope you find it helpful and useful. If you don't understand, you can repeat the video again. Thank you. Have a nice day.